Always good to see you. Thank you so much for being with us. Max, I'll start with you. Do you think Eagles fans should be worried about Jalen Hurts?
No. I think you should welcome the challenge. You have to sit Carson Wentz, as I've been saying, to see what you have in your second-round quarterback. Like, when people were telling me they drafted Hurts in the second round because, they wanted depth at the stop. It wasn't a run a wildcat. No, they drafted him because they were afraid of continued regression by Carson Wentz, which is what happened, and identified Hurts as a guy maybe who could be their franchise quarterback. Or you don't draft him in the second round. Like, Jalen Hurts doesn't need your sympathy. Jalen Hurts, this dude goes from the starting quarterback at Alabama. Yup, he lost his job to Tua, but he was excellent at Alabama. And then after Nick Saban said, no, I have a guy I like even better. Who snapped him up? Lincoln Riley, right? And then he's drafted in the second round, and now, halfway through his rookie season, he's getting the ball to start. Like, there's a reason for that, and it's not just that he's lucky. Guys, the same thing happened with Tua, right? Like, don't start him against the Rams. Oh, it's bad news. Here comes Aaron Donald. Why would you do it? Well, let's see what you got. And the first play, Tua gets body slammed, basically, gets back up, takes a lick and keeps on ticking. Didn't force things, and they wound up winning the game. I'm not saying Hurts is going to beat the Saints with this Eagles team, but you have the rest of this season to see what you have. Wentz is done. What is Jalen Hurts? If he's a guy you believe you can develop as a franchise quarterback, you're good, and you can use your very high draft pick coming up. It's going to be high based on the Eagles' record on something other than a quarterback. But if you evaluate Hurts the rest of this year and go, no, he can't be an NFL quarterback, you got to use that draft pick on a quarterback. And it starts now. Let's see. You throw him in the fire. Let's see what happens in the crucible of competition against one of the best defenses in the league. It's now or never.
We're not saying don't throw him into the fire. We're not saying you don't see what happens. What we're saying is there's a lot to be worried about. There's an awful lot to be worried about. When you sit there and look at Hendrickson, you look at Cameron Jordan, you look at that secondary with Lattimore and Williams and Malcolm Jenkins and Patrick Robinson and those boys, they're nothing to sneeze at. They're number 4 against the pass, they're number 2 against the rush. They get at the quarterback. They can defend you in man. They can switch to zone. Not only can they beat you up, they can also demoralize and discombobulate you. That's a reason to be concerned about a young quarterback from a psychological perspective. You still take the chance. That's what Miami did with Tua when they threw him in there against the Rams. We understand all of that, but the Miami situation is growing. The Eagles situation is regressing and disintegrating before our very eyes as it pertains to the coach, as it pertains to the GM, and everything else in between. I know this much when it comes to Doug Peterson. I had damn well better see Miles Sanders and Boston Scott running that damn football this weekend. I know that much. We better not ignore them and just have Jalen Hurts dropping back to pass and throwing the damn football all game long. Utilize your running game, excuse me, because they're pretty solid. That's what you need to do. My concern for Jalen Hurts is that in a game like this, particularly with the brilliance of a Sean Payton, they can really demoralize you to a point where it might take you a while to recover from it. That's my concern about Jalen Hurts. I know what a stud athlete he is, but in terms of passing the football, reading through your progressions, figuring out what to do throwing the football, am I a bit worried about him? You damn right. I anticipate a blowout here. I truly do.
Yeah, I mean, he's a rookie, and you should be worried about all those things in rookies in their first starts, whether they're playing against one of the best defenses in the league or not. But the difference between the Dolphins situation and what's going on in Philly is the Dolphins were winning. They were playing well. Their head coach and their general manager seem to be on the same page. They seem to see the world the same way and think with the same brain. That's not what's happening in Philly. Philly is in a tailspin. They look like they are a mess. No one has any clue what they're doing going forward. And it appears to me that the front office sees Jalen Hurts as a potential franchise quarterback. And like you said, Max, they were concerned about the regression, either the regression or the health of Carson Wentz. That's why they drafted him. But nothing about what Doug Peterson has said or done prior to or after announcing Jalen Hurts was going to be the starter suggests that he sees Jalen Hurts that way. That's what I'd be most concerned about. Is Doug Peterson going to do his best job to make Jalen Hurts succeed? And it doesn't feel like he's done what he could to make Carson Wentz succeed. And it feels to me like Doug Peterson is committed to Carson Wentz in a way that the rest of the organization doesn't seem to be. And I understand they paid him a lot of money, which would suggest that maybe they were committed to him, but drafted a quarterback in the second round, a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. Like you said, you don't do that to do some sort of Taysom Hill situation where he's just a gadget guy. Taysom Hill was not drafted nowhere nearly that high. I don't even think Taysom Hill was drafted. I think he was undrafted free agent, but I'm sure somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But the point is, the situation between Miami and Philly are very different, and that's what makes me worry for Jalen Hurts. It's less about his ability as a player, and he wasn't someone who I thought was going to be a franchise quarterback, but I'm more concerned about the organization around him, the team around him, and how committed they are to moving on this same path, because it's very different in Miami and Philly right now.
Couple things. Tua was under much more pressure than Jalen Hurts because Miami was winning, and Fitzpatrick was playing well. And they benched him anyway and put in Tua. That's a lot to put on a young kid, and it was a gutsy move. It's different in Philadelphia. There's actually less pressure on Jalen Hurts because their hand was forced here. They had to take a look at the number 2 quarterback, whoever that was. But it's not just whoever that was in Jalen Hurts' case. This is a guy, not only did they use a second-round pick on him, but that pick was valuable because they needed receiving help. And instead of trading for DeAndre Hopkins or packaging that second-round pick and moving up and getting CeeDee Lamb, they said, nope, we like this guy. We think we see something here. So you've got to play him now and find out. And in terms of, look, they're going to lose. Guys, they're going to lose the game, right? We all know they're going to lose the game. The Saints may be the best team in the NFL right now. Certainly they look that way in the NFC, even if their schedule's been a little soft recently. The defense is playing great. The Eagles' offensive line is not nearly as bad as Carson Wentz has made them look. They win in pass blocking. Their win rate, I think, was like 12th in the league. Their run blocking was 4th in the league. It's not like, and so that's part of the reason why when Jalen Hurts gets the ball and doesn't hold it forever and make bad decisions, the offense starts working better. Right. Let's see what we got in Jalen Hurts. Why be scared?
But so, I mean, the first one is about pressure. Like, that feels like a straw man. No one's concerned about pressure being on Jalen Hurts or pressure being on Tua. I'm of the mind that pressure's fine. Pressure's good. You have to find out how your player deals with pressure at some point, be it pressure from blitz or pass rush or pressure from expectations. So the fact that there's more or less pressure is irrelevant to me. That's not what makes me worry about Jalen Hurts on Sunday. What makes me worry is that they do not have the players to support him right now, and they don't seem to have an organization that is in lockstep, that is working in the same direction. I'd much rather be Tua dropped into a situation, a high-pressure situation, on a team that is playing well and a team that seems like their general manager and Chris Greer is in concert with Flores. Like, it is the question. It's about why. It's about worrying about Jalen Hurts.
No, that's the straw man.
You think so? No,
wait, that's the straw man, Dominique. No, so would you rather be Hurts? The real question is, would you rather be Hurts not getting a chance to start the rest of this year, or Hurts getting a chance to start the rest of this year?
That's not the question. You're changing the question altogether. My point is that I am worried for Jalen Hurts this weekend for the reasons that I told you. I don't understand how you cannot be worried if I lay out all the context around him. That whole situation concerns me. Before you even get to Jalen Hurts' ability or Jalen Hurts' potential to be a starting quarterback, everything around him is in disarray. It looks like it's a mess. So, yes, I'm worried for him. Yes, Eagles fans should be worried for him and their team. That's very different.
Except he's had better success than the starter when he's been in. As I said, the offensive line is underrated. As Stephen A. pointed out, that's one of the reasons the running backs can get business done when they're used, when Peterson includes them in the game plan, which I think he will with Hurts. I mean, the bottom line is, are you worried about him? Do you want to be a second-round pick quarterback who played for Saban and Lincoln Riley and had a ton of success in college, who's now getting a chance to start halfway through a little bit more his rookie year for a team with an underrated offensive line and some running backs, or don't you? I mean, of course, it's an opportunity, and he has a chance now the rest of the season to win a starting job in the NFL. Are you worried they're going to lose? Yeah, you should be. They're going to lose. But I'm not worried for Jalen Hurts.
All right. Over the last 5 games, the Saints defense has allowed a total of 44